See how much this guy's gonna fuck me on the DVD player here. Shrotty! A stout old man looks up at you from whatever old tech he's tinkering with to squint at you through thick old-fashioned glasses. He pushes them up with an old oil-stained finger as he straightens up to nod at you. He speaks with a gruff but well-meaning tone, heavily accented with German tonality. Guten Tag, what can I do for you? Malit tells me you're the man to speak to about DVDs? That little shrew sent you my way, huh? Shrody smile broadens. Will wonders never cease? Well, introductions are in order, I suppose. Shrody Buckman at your service. The old man raises a grimy hand in salute, not a slimy hand, which is what I was going to say. Need something salvaged? Some old components? I am indeed your man. Wonderful. How about that DVD player? Well, let's see. I think I've got something that'll work for you. Shrody rummages through the junk heaped on the table behind him. A few seconds later, he snatches a battered plastic lozenge shape from the pile. Here we go. An old Korean player I dug up last week. 2010 model, a real beauty. Shroddy's smile broadens and he gives you a conspiratorial wink. I fixed her up and got her running, but without any discs to read, I've mostly been using her as a paperweight. Sounds like what I'm looking for. How much do you want for it? Shrody glances back at the DVD player, a rueful expression on his face. Well, I'll admit, I'm a little loath to part with her. There are plenty of folks out there who'd really appreciate an older player such as this, and I don't know what your intentions are for it. I suppose, given the time and trouble I took putting her back together, that I'd be willing to part with her for, oh, say... Shrody's eyes dart over your gear, a calculated expression on his face. About 500 million? See, strength 4, I've got a better idea. How about you give me the DVD player? We call it even, as I don't want to piss off these fucking townies. Deal. Shrody blinks a bit with surprise, but his beard betrays no movement in his face. You jest. All right there, friend. He picks up the ancient device from the table gingerly and presses it into your hands. The plastic is scuffed and worn, and it rattles a bit when you move it. A hell of a deal. Anyway, I'm happy knowing that she's going to see some use again. Give her some good use, okay? I'm going to watch so much porn on this thing, dude. There's a chance I could have haggled him. There's a good chance I handled that horribly wrong. There's the guy that sells drugs. We're a little low on money, though. Who's this? Warming herself in the dim light of a dying street lamp is a waif of a girl who looks far too worn for her years. The clothes she wears suggest the oldest profession, and the fog in her eyes suggests the habit that demands such a line of work. The Mother Superior, she says there will be 7 for me to care for. I need to see to them. You're high as a kite, aren't you? We could fly kites. I should ask the Mother Superior. She says I'm to be governess to the children. You notice a chipjack poking out beneath the young woman's unruly hair. The vacant look in her eyes marks her as a likely BTL junkie lost between reality and any number of better-than-life virtual constructs. I need money to get back to them. This story sounds familiar. Captain Von Trapp is well known as respected. The poor dear lost his wife and the children their mother. A child should not be without a mother, and a mother should not be without a child. Have you seen the captain? Do you know Monica? Monica, is she one of the sisters at the Abbey? Shit. No, wait, Monica. A flicker of recognition fights through the haze in the young woman's eyes. Yes, Monica, she's good to me, brings me food to eat and tea to drink. Something happened to her. Despite the woman's persistent delirium, she seems to glean meaning from your tone. She died? While working a job, yeah. The girl grips her head with claw-like hands, tugging at her hair as if she might pull her brain through her skull. I don't like this, but I can't switch it off. The girl's frail body shudders and her eyes grow large, but she does not sob. Instead, she smiles a sad smile, which looks to have been worn all too often. She will go to heaven, she told me. It is a place for good people, stillborn babies, and childhood pets. And she was a good person. The girl then begins to mumble to herself while fingering the hair that covers the jack in her head. I'm going to step away now. Yes, good, I need to rejoin the children. Do you have new things to say? No. What's this? A bizarre monument towers before you. At the top of the pedestal, the form of an angel stands, its outstretched wings looming over the small park, but the material is strange and uneven, giving the statue a cold, Frankenstein-esque appearance. It appears that the artist has welded this monument together from various metal scraps and pieces of junk. As you approach, a small grimy monitor at the base of the statue flickers dimly to life. The grainy face of a smug young orc appears on screen. Hello there, I'm Herbert Kunzel, the creator of this monument. What would you like to know? Statue name? This is my tribute to victory, the victory of anarchy. It is both a citation and parody of the statue we destroyed some 20 years ago. You may remember it from the history trids as the, Siege Soal, or Gold Els, Jesus Christ, or these 2 wacky German words. Installation history. Isn't it obvious? A monument to the hubris of the Prussian state gets blown to bits, so someone takes a lot of bits and builds a monument to the hubris of anarchy. I mean, what more is there to say? About the artist. I am the visionary Herbert Kunzel from the Lindwormer you might know me from. Okay, well, there isn't much I'm known for yet, but I intend to change that. All art is born from misery, after all. Goodbye. Never heard more about the telephone. Walk away. Think that's about it. Go watch this DVD here. Oh, it's a DVD party. It seems that Amsel has assembled the team in your absence. They stand in a group around the old display that you had Malik deliver. On their faces you can see excitement and apprehension, curiosity and dread. Phineas Irk, have you procured a DVD reader? I have, it's right here. Good, this should only take me a moment. Amsel disappears behind the ancient display. After a few minutes of fiddling with its battered inputs, he reappears, a satisfied look on his face. Everything appears to be functional. The disc should be ready to play. Well, don't keep us in suspense. Start the damn thing already. Phineas Irk went to the trouble of fetching everything. Let him do the honors. Amsel steps back, clearing a path for you to access the antique machine. A soft whirring sound fills the ears. The ancient DVD player spins the disc up to speed. The scratched LCD display comes to life, and a menu fills the screen. Play track 1. The screen goes black, and a cheerful digital chiming sound spills out the display speaker. A crackle of static fills the air, coupled with a shrill electronic whine. After a few moments, the display goes live, and a disheveled-looking man appears on the screen. His eyes glitter with excitement. The timestamp on the screen is 2034-915. Hermie, I think we found her. After all this time, Fierschwing, I knew that she wasn't dead. His speech is jittery. You can hear the urgency in his voice. She survived the Dragonfall, just as I've always said. I knew it, and I was right. The screen explodes into static, and the electronic whine in the background sharpens into a needle-like pulse of high-pitched sound. Somewhere in the background, Dante lets out a low whimper. The screen clears, and the excited face is closer to the screen than it was before. The words spill out of it in a breathless tide. Taking a team into the SOX to retrieve her, the radiation be damned. We'll take the appropriate precautions, of course, but we must go. Hermie, I think the body may be nearby as well. Somehow, she has survived for all this time. The screen explodes into static again, then clears. The figure flickers across the screen. May not be back for some time. Look after Mom, okay? I worry about her. And Hermie, stay safe out there. I know that things are heating up in Berlin, and I know you. Student protest, civil uprising, you'll be in the middle of it, I'm sure. Just stay safe, all right, and I'll do my best to do the same. I don't know what's going to happen when I step into the SOX, but I do know one thing. If the Firewing is still a danger, I will put an end to her once and for all. Play track 2. The screen goes black for a moment, then a figure appears on the screen. Your late client, Green Winters. His elbow is planted on the table that he's seated at, and his chin rests at his palm. The other hand is wrapped around a bottle of cheap whiskey. The timestamp on this video reads 2053-1225. Found the message Adrian left me all those years ago. Got it cleaned up as best I could. Strange hearing his voice again. He pauses to take a long pull in the bottle. It's good to hear him, even if he did insist on calling me Hermie. Dr. Adrian Beauclair, the hero of the people, the Dragon Slayer. My brother. He grimaces and rubs his eyes. Hard to believe it's been almost 20 years. Alright, so I'm going to start recording these DVDs again. For me, for Adrian, for whoever might end up watching them. Every time I do this, it winds up feeling like a waste of time, but I keep doing it anyway, on the off chance that I'll find something important. If I stumble into the clue that leads me to my brother, I know that I'm going to want it on film. I've been doing this for almost 20 years now, after all. No sense quitting now. Christ, 20 years. All this time and still no leads. Even with all of my contacts and my resources. He takes another long swallow of cheap liquor. Even with my legendary bullheadedness, I've made no progress at all. I haven't turned up a single goddamn thing. Want to hear something funny? The closest I've gotten to a clue was a rumor. Apparently his team emerged from the SOX a while back. Nobody's clear on the date, but, and get this, he leans into the camera and gives a conspiratorial wink. Supposedly they vanished without a trace. He upends the bottle, drains it, slams it back down to the table, his eyes are rimmed with red. Not much of a rumor considering. I already know that you're gone, big brother. I live with that every day. There is a grinding sound from the DVD tray, and Green Winter's image appears on the screen. There is an eager look on his face. The timestamp on the video reads 2054-1012. Stumbled upon this archival footage of Feuerschwing's original attack months before the Dragonfall. Easy to forget how devastating it was. Adrian saved a lot of people by bringing her down. I've got the footage all queued up to play, starting it now. Additional comments to follow. The slow whir of the DVD player shifts to a high-pitched whine. A distorted, wavering image blooms into being on the screen. A timestamp in the upper right corner of the screen marks the date. July 6, 2012. It's difficult to make out what you're seeing at first. The screen is dark and smoky, and the telltale flashes of emergency vehicle lights flicker on the periphery of the screen. The camera pushes in and you can make out two figures standing in a ruined landscape. All at once, the sound cuts in. Again, for those of you joining us, we are coming to you live from Stolberg. A few hours ago, the Dragon Feuerschwing launched an unprovoked attack on this sleepy Harz Mountain town, and you can see the results behind me. Fire, ashes, and blood. We're joined tonight by a survivor of this latest and most horrifying attack. The reporter turns to face a pale man standing behind him. Sir, I understand you've been through a horrible ordeal. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us tonight. The camera switches to the focus of a middle-aged man with a haunted look in his eyes. He stammers out a reply. Yes, of course. If you could, sir, could you please tell the people at home about your experience of the attack? It was horrible, just pure chaos. So many people are dead. People I knew roasted alive, or trampled to death trying to escape. My own house was burned to the ground during the attack. My family. We have nothing now. You all made it through the attack, though? Your wife, your kids? Yeah, we all made it, thank God. We rode at the attack in a small shelter. Me, my wife, and our 2 daughters. The shelter protected us, but the heat was just unbearable. We couldn't have stayed in there much longer than we did. How long were you holed up in there? 3, maybe 4 hours? I don't know, we just stayed inside until the heat died down and the screaming stopped. And what happened after that? When it was over, you know, when the air cooled down. We stepped outside. There was nothing left, just smoldering wreckage and this dense cloud of black, oily smoke, and the stench in the air. That smell. It smelled like roasting meat. There was a long pause. From the tortured look on his face, you can tell that the man is struggling to decide whether or not to continue speaking. Eventually, he does. My girls, they found what was left of their nanny outside. Her body, what was left of it, was slumped against the shelter door. I kept telling myself that I couldn't hear her pounding to get in. But that isn't true. I could. I just couldn't bring myself to open that door. Couldn't risk my family like that. Not for her. Not for anyone. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to speak with us. Yeah. You heard it here, an absolutely chilling account of tonight's attack. Again, the town of Stolberg has been reduced to ash, another victim of the Fire Wing. Stay with us for more up-to-the-minute reporting on Feuerschwing's reign of terror. Greenwinter's face reappears on the screen. Okay, it's time for a new approach. Adrian's a complete dead end. That much is pretty clear by now, so I'm going to do some digging on Feuerschwing instead. Let's see where this goes. The DVD player ramps up to speed, filling the air with a shrill whining sound. Greenwinter's image appears on the screen again. The timestamp on this video reads 2054, 1031. Well, that was a bust. Little progress on Feuerschwing either. He shakes his head. I don't know, it's weird. The information is there, it's just wrong somehow. It's too well laid out, too simple. Real life is messy, and this just feels a little too neat. That's not the only thing that's nagging at me. I'm getting that tingly feeling all up and down the back of my neck again. It feels like I'm being tracked. I'm no Matrix hotshot like Clockwork or Schaefer, but I'm good enough to know when someone's on my scent. Gotta install some new security measures. Can't be too careful. Uh-oh. Track 5. The display goes blank for a moment, then the face of Greenwinter winks onto the screen. He is seated at the computer. Up to his left, an enormous monitor fills the screen. His voice carries an edge of panic. The timestamp on the video reads 2054, 1109. Christ, I'm getting too close to something. There's a trail of bodies, and there have been disappearances. Clockwork, Marcian, Peregrine, they've all disappeared within the past few years. Clockwork just went AWOL yesterday, and they were all making the same sorts of inquiries about the Firewing that I've been. There are ghost stories spreading around the Decker community, stories about Deckers disappearing and then showing up again later, but wrong somehow. Scary stuff, and I'm starting to think that it's true. Blitz leans in to whisper to you. I know the stories he's talking about, Chief. Never really put much stock in them. Not until now. Could these rumors be related to what's happening here? Am I being paranoid? He pauses for a moment, as if seriously considering the question. Then he shakes his head and slams his fist on the table. No, I don't think so. Something big is happening here, and I'm right in the middle of it. Eager cuts in. It's a bit of a leap. One other thing. Tolstoy told me a story about a kill team that might be related to all of this. Apparently a Decker named Hellebore posted a theory about Feuerschwing to the Shadowrun BBS about 5 years ago. About an hour later, a mil-spec team showed up in Meat Space and cooked her entire apartment, with her in it. If what Tolstoy told me was true, Hellebore live posted the event. She described the killer this great big orc with skin grafts. Then the whole thread disappeared, gone without a trace. Leap, Eager love? That sounds like he's right on track to me. Eager holds her silence, but concedes the point with a small nod. On the screen, Winter pauses. He looks like he's working up to something. Finally, he speaks. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This has to be Fierschwing. All of it. Adrian was right about her. She's still alive, and she's out of the SOX. She's covering her tracks, working the shadows, preparing to rise again. And that means I have to find you, Adrian, for everyone's sake. Thankfully, I've got a lead. For the first time in 2 decades, I've got a solid goddamn lead. I backtraced all of the Matrix nodes that Hellebore was looking into back before she got cooked. Whoever's been purging the Matrix didn't think about that. And I found that she turned up. Winters stabs a few keys on his keyboard. An image expands to fill the screen of his monitor. A satellite photo of a rural landscape annotated with GPS data. A set of map coordinates. So now I've got a target, a place to start digging. The Harfeld Manor, conveniently located on an isolated stretch of countryside, miles away from prying eyes. Matrix records indicate that some sort of data vault exists beneath the estate, so that's what I need to get into. This is where we came in. As if on cue, a familiar image winks onto the monitor next to Winter's left, Monica. I think I'm going to tap Schaefer for this job. She's got the skills to bypass whatever security they're running out there, and she's gullible enough to take the job in the first place. I'll feed her some line about flux state security, and she'll eat it up with a spoon. I warned her. Amsel's voice is choked with rage. I warned her. On the display, Winters' mouth parts into a broad grin. Time to put plans into motion. By this time tomorrow night, I should have the information that I need. And on the off chance that Schaefer gets taken out, well, that'll tell me something too. Can't make an omelet and all that. Until then. Ooh, one last track. When you play the 6th track, a small video window appears. You recognize the scene in the window. You're looking at the tattered drapes and nicotine-stained wallpaper of Winters' hotel room in Das Kesselhaus. The timestamp on this video reads 2054-1110. There is a blur of motion, and the haggard form of Green Winters lumbers into frame. Suspicions confirmed. Schaefer dead. Christ. Winters reaches a shaking hand off camera. A moment later, it returns clutching a cheap plastic drinking glass. He gulps something down, wipes his mouth with the back of his hand, and takes a deep breath. Okay. Back up, slow down, start from the beginning. Winters closes his eyes and makes a visible effort to calm himself. When he speaks again, his voice is steady. Got the call from my contact in the cruise bazaar. Schaefer killed on the estate run. Matrix security at the estate cooked her brain. Considering Schaefer's skill and experience, on-site ice must have been extreme, even by Berlin standards. Security of that kind costs money. Real money. Given the evidence uncovered so far, corporate involvement unlikely. The connection to the Firewing is too strong. So let's come right out and say it. The dragon is what we're dealing with here, and the smart money says that she's coming for me next. Well, I won't go down without a fight. I've still got my contacts, still got my connections. And the flux state can be a hell of a weapon for the man that knows how to manipulate it. Winters takes another long pull from his glass, grimaces, and swallows. Time for me to make my play. Ghost stories or no, missing Deckers or no. I've got to jack into the Matrix and start pulling strings. The countermeasures that I installed earlier should be more than enough to keep me safe for the 20 minutes I'll be in there. Winters drains the rest of the glass, then tosses it back over his shoulder. A moment later you hear the dull clattering sound of hard plastic on linoleum. Schaefer's death was tragic. She was a staunch supporter of the F-State, but still, all things considered. Winters fishes for something off screen. A moment later, his hand reappears clutching a data jack cable. Better her than me. He plugs the cable into his head and the screen cuts to static. Eject the DVD! As your finger nears the eject button, a black screen cuts it over the static. A moment later, Green Winters' haggard face appears. If you're watching this, then I guess that they caught up to me. They will be after you too now. Blitz whispers into your ear again, more harshly this time. What the hell is this? Why didn't you warn me about this before I came here? Not now, Blitz. Whoever you are, whatever you think you're after, you need to find Dr. Adrian Beauclair. Not because he's my brother, because if Fierschwing is rising up again, he's the only one that can stop her. You've seen what happens to people who get too close to this. I'm dead, and dozens of others have died. You'll be next unless you find Adrian. The screen cuts to static. The message is over. The room goes quiet as everyone struggles to process what you've just seen on the DVD. Finally, Dietrich breaks the silence. A dragon, son of a bitch. Green Winters sent us up against a dragon. The Firewing. Amsel's voice is thick with dread. She lives. I'm really starting to regret the fact that I didn't just stay at the hotel. Eager ignores him. Wait a second, we don't know for certain. Dietrich lays a hand on Eager's shoulder. The evidence seemed pretty convincing to me. I'll even take it a step further. I think that secret facility that we stumbled into was her lair. The room falls silent. Eager and Glory exchange glances. After a moment, Dietrich continues. Just think about it. The Decker that Winters got those coordinates from was posting about Fierschwing, and then she was killed by the same orcish bastard that attacked us after Monica died. There's a direct link between the dragon, the scarred orc, and the Harfeld Manor. And then Winters was killed by the same thing that killed Monica. Exactly. My gut tells me that the dragon is down there, Phineas Urk. Someplace far beneath the surface. I think that we knocked on the door to her lair without even knowing it, and I think that, given what we've seen, the dragon will do whatever it takes to keep us quiet about it. Okay, going on the assumption that there is a dragon and that she will come after us, what do you propose we do about it? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to follow Winters' advice, and we're going to find Vauclair. Yes, Phineas Urk is right. Finding Dr. Vauclair should be our priority. If we're up against a dragon, we need to find ourselves a dragon slayer. Winters spent 20 years searching for Vauclair, and it got him nowhere. How do you propose that we find him? With the help of an information broker. I'll go talk to Altude, then? For this, no. While Herr Bergagazi is very capable, a task of this magnitude is beyond him. We need to make contact with the premier information broker in Berlin. We need to talk to Alice. Blitz scoffs at Amsel. Alice, best of luck, and I hope that you're rich. Amsel raises an eyebrow. For this, rich enough, even if only just. Who is this Alice? The most prominent figure in Berlin's shadow community. Ex-Schwach-Wellenreiter. She provides information retrieval services for the F-State. Amsel turns to the computer console behind him and runs his fingers over a virtual keyboard. The machine begins to hum. If Winters was right, if Vauclair is still alive, she can help us find him. The console spits out a stick of black plastic. Amsel plucks it from the computer and hands it to you. Here, your key to speak with Alice. A cred stick? Amsel nods. An encoded cred stick, yes, 10,000 Nuyen. Alan will not show her face for less. Did I just call her Alan? This represents the last of my personal savings, Phineas Urk. Make the meeting count. Where do I need to go? Take the U-Bahn to the Adstadt Spandau. There you will find a connecting tube that the locals refer to as the rabbit hole. You will find a method of contacting Alice there. Don't call it that in front of her, though. Word on the street is that she hates it. Please hurry. While you're out, I will work on acquiring new contracts for the team. Alice is the best there is at what she does, and her services carry a price tag to match. So we're going to have to fucking do some walking around jobs while we pay her services.